At the time this took place, I was an 18-year-old girl working overnight shifts at a gas station. Since I had moved during COVID, finding a job was difficult, and this place called me back first. My shift ran from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Normally, the store stayed busy until around 1:30 or 1 a.m., then slowed down until about 5 a.m. That night, however, it was especially dead. After 11 p.m., I only saw a few regulars and one or two delivery drivers. In my state, alcohol sales stop at 1:30 a.m. About 20 minutes before that, a man walked in. He was a white man, no older than 40, with long dyed blonde hair and a white surfer t-shirt, which stood out because the nearest beach was thousands of miles away. The moment I made eye contact with him, I felt pure dread. My body was screaming at me to get away. I forced myself to stay calm as he walked to the counter. He wandered around the medicine aisle for several minutes, then grabbed a soda and brought it to the counter. Before I could scan it, he picked it back up and asked if I liked Mountain Dew. I gave a weak answer, which turned out to be a mistake. After that, he locked on to me, asking personal questions: where I grew up, what college I went to, where I went to high school. I lied as much as possible and even mentioned having a boyfriend. After a while, he put the drink back and said he changed his mind. Then he asked about phone chargers behind the counter and made me turn the display while he stared at me the entire time. He pointed to a pop socket, asked questions about it, bought it, then asked me to open it and put it on his phone. He had been in the store nearly 30 minutes and no one else had come in. I did it just to get him to leave. After paying, he lingered, staring at me. He left, then returned 2 minutes later and stood at the far end of the store. I secretly took a photo of him and texted my girlfriend saying that if I got kidnapped, it was this guy. He asked to use the bathroom, claimed there was money on the floor, and kept trying to engage me. Eventually, he went into the women's restroom briefly and then walked out. As he left, a very large man walked in at the same time. I screamed that the guy had tried to get me alone in the bathroom. The man immediately ran after him and started yelling at him outside. I called the police. Another regular customer, Dan, a tow truck driver, showed up and took photos of the creep's license plate. The man eventually drove away. Later, Dan followed me to my car and warned me that the creep had followed him to his apartment complex, screaming. I never saw or heard about that man again. My name is Jabril. All of us were seniors in high school at the time. In March, my friends and I decided to visit an abandoned campsite deep in the woods. There were 5 of us total. We brought alcohol and weed and arrived around 11:30 p.m. It was pitch black. After smoking and drinking, I became extremely paranoid. I thought I heard footsteps following us. Later, when I went off alone to pee, I heard branches snapping nearby. When I shined my flashlight, I saw 4 people dressed in black, wearing hoods, standing about 15 feet away. I ran back screaming. We were chased through the woods. At one point, my friend Angela fell, and I stayed back to help her. We hid in an old shed that smelled horrific. Inside the shed, I found something I will never forget. 2 mutilated adult bodies and what appeared to be a dead baby. I was convinced the people chasing us were responsible. When the footsteps returned, I distracted them so Angela could escape. I hid under leaves and branches until they passed. Eventually, I reached the road, reunited with my friends, and called the police. I never heard anything back. This happened months ago, and I still have nightmares about it.
I was 12 years old when I realized how close I came to disappearing. It was July of 2008. We had just gotten high-speed internet, Harry Potter had been delayed again, and somewhere far away the rest of the world felt loud and busy. But where I lived, rural Western Canada, everything was quiet. Too quiet. Our town was barely a town at all. A cluster of houses near a lake, one small elementary school, no stores, no traffic, just dirt roads, trees, and long summer afternoons. That day, I was alone on the playground. I was sitting on the swing, slowly rocking back and forth, listening to the chains creak with each movement. The air was warm and dusty, cicadas buzzing faintly in the distance. I didn't mind being alone. I was used to it. I remember staring at the sky and letting my thoughts wander. That's when I noticed the van. Behind me, moving slowly along the road, was a large white van, old, boxy, completely unmarked. What struck me wasn't just how out of place it felt, but how slowly it was moving. No more than walking speed, 10 kilometers an hour at most. I craned my neck slightly and watched it creep past, then disappear from view. The chains of the swing rattled softly as I slowed myself to a stop. A few minutes passed. Then the van came back. This time it was driving along the road directly in front of the playground. The road wrapped around the park in a square, circling the swings like a track. I watched the van crawl forward, turn, vanish behind trees, then reappear behind me again. That's when a memory hit me. 2 months earlier, kids from a nearby town had been approached by a man offering candy from a white van. School officials had warned us to stay alert. My stomach tightened. I told myself not to panic. It was probably nothing. Probably someone lost. Probably not the same guy. Then I had a very stupid idea. I decided I would hide in the bushes, wait for the van to pass, and get the license plate to give to the police. 12-year-old me thought I was being brave. I wasn't. I was being reckless. I crouched low in the bushes and waited. Seconds stretched out. The quiet suddenly felt heavy, oppressive. I realized how isolated I was, how hidden. No one could see me. No one would hear me. Fear finally cut through my pride. I got up and started walking home, fast. The dirt road felt longer than usual. My house was just past a sharp bend, the hairpin turn. I could almost see it. That's when I heard tires screech. I turned my head just enough to see it. The van. It came out of nowhere, accelerating toward me. My thoughts vanished. My body took over. I ran. My sandals slipped against the dirt. I could hear my own breathing, ragged, panicked, drowning out everything else. The squeal of tires echoed behind me. I remember the pink skirt I was wearing flapping wildly as I sprinted downhill, every step feeling like it might be my last. I threw myself down the hill toward my house, and then silence. I glanced back. The van was turning away, disappearing down another road. The next thing I remember, I was standing inside my house, clutching a red Freezy, shaking so hard I could barely breathe. My dad's face was pale as he asked me what happened. When I told him, he hugged me and left immediately to search for the van. He never found it. Neither did the police. I never saw that van again. But even now, years later, I still think about what would have happened if I hadn't run fast enough.